Have you ever said yes when you really wanted to say no? Maybe you agreed to babysit when you were exhausted. Maybe a grown child expected you to drop everything whenever they called. Maybe someone spoke to you disrespectfully, and instead of addressing it, you stayed quiet because you didn't want to cause an argument. Well, Grandma Miranda has something to tell you today. Having boundaries doesn't make you selfish, and saying no doesn't make you a bad parent, a bad grandparent, or a bad person. Healthy boundaries are actually one of the ways we protect ourselves, our relationships, our peace, and our well being. So, today we're going to talk about 7 reasons you need healthy boundaries and why you shouldn't feel guilty for having them. I'm Grandma Miranda, and let's talk about it. Reason 1: boundaries protect your peace. One of the biggest reasons we need boundaries is simple. They protect our peace. As we get older, many of us realize that peace is priceless. You don't want to spend every day arguing, explaining yourself, defending your decisions, or dealing with somebody else's drama. But here's the problem: if you don't have boundaries, people may start believing that they have unlimited access to your time, your home, your money, your energy, and your emotions. And eventually, you become exhausted. A healthy boundary might sound like, I love you, but I'm not available tonight. Or, I understand you're upset, but I'm not going to continue this conversation while yelling at each other. That's not being rude. That's protecting your peace. And Grandma wants you to remember something. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can say is, we're going to talk about this another time. Reason 2: boundaries teach people how to treat you now. Now, this is really important. Boundaries don't control other people's behaviors, they communicate what you will and will not accept. For example, if somebody continually speaks disrespectfully to you and you keep accepting it without saying anything, they may assume that behavior is okay. A boundary might sound something like, I am willing to talk with you, but I will not stay in a conversation where I'm being insulted. Notice something? You're not saying you have to stop being angry. You're saying, if this continues, I will remove myself from the conversation. That's a healthy boundary. And so sometimes people won't like your boundaries. That's okay. A boundary doesn't have to make everyone happy to be healthy. Reason 3: boundaries prevent resentment. Have you ever done something for somebody and then felt angry about it afterwards? You said yes, but inside you were screaming, I don't want to do this. That is how resentment starts. You keep giving when you don't have anything left to give. You keep saying yes because you don't want to disappoint somebody. And eventually, you become frustrated with the very people you were trying to help. Healthy boundaries can prevent that. Instead of automatically saying, yes, give yourself permission to say, let me think about it. That's a powerful sentence. You don't have to answer immediately. Take a moment. Ask yourself, do I actually have the time? Do I have the energy? Can I afford it? Am I doing this because I genuinely want to help or because I feel guilty? There's a big difference. Helping someone because you want to is generosity. Helping someone because you're afraid of what they'll think if you say no can become a burden. Reason 4: boundaries help you maintain healthy relationships. This might sound surprising. Some people think boundaries push people away. Healthy boundaries can actually make relationships stronger. Why? Because everyone knows where they stand. Think about it. If you never tell someone what really bothers you, but secretly keep building anger towards them, eventually that anger may explode. And then suddenly you have a huge argument over something that has been bothering you for months or maybe even years. Boundaries allow us to communicate earlier. You might say, I love having the grandchildren over, but I need you to ask me before bringing them over. Or I'd love to help, but I can't be available every weekend. Those conversations might feel uncomfortable, at first, but honesty can be much healthier than quietly building resentment. Reason 5, boundaries help you stop over functioning for other people. Here's another lesson Grandma learned with age. You cannot live somebody else's life for them. Sometimes we love people so much that we try to fix everything for them. We solve their problems, we make appointments, we lend them money, we constantly rescue them from consequences of their choices. And we tell ourselves, I'm just helping. But sometimes helping too much prevents another person from learning how to handle their own responsibilities. Healthy boundaries allows you to say, I love you and I believe you can handle this. That's not abandonment. That's allowing another adult to take responsibility for their own life. And grandparents especially need to hear this. Your job is not to save everybody. You can love your children. You can love your grandchildren. You can support your family, but you are still allowed to have a life of your own. Reason 6, boundaries protect your time and energy. Your time matters, your energy matters. And as we get older, many of us become much more aware that we don't have unlimited amounts of either. You don't have to spend every weekend running errands for everyone else. You don't have to answer every phone call immediately. And you don't have to attend every event. You don't have to explain why you need a quiet evening at home. And you certainly don't have to feel guilty for resting. Try saying, I'm not available today, but I'll call you tomorrow. That's a boundary. Or I can't take that on right now. That's a boundary too. And here's something I want you to remember: rest is not laziness. You don't have to earn the right to rest by complete exhausting yourself. Reason 7, boundaries teach the next generation. This might be one of the most important lessons of all. When children and grandchildren see us establish healthy boundaries, we're teaching them something valuable. We're showing them that love doesn't mean allowing people to mistreat you. We're showing them that it's okay to say no. We're showing them that you can disagree without someone still, and still loving them. We're showing them that respecting yourself and respecting others can exist at the same time. Imagine a granddaughter growing up knowing, I don't have to say yes just because somebody expects me to. Or a grandson learning, when someone tells me they're uncomfortable, I should respect that. That's a powerful lesson. Sometimes the best thing we can teach our grandchildren isn't something we say, it's something they watch us do. How do you start setting boundaries? Now, you might be thinking, Grandma, that all sounds wonderful, but how do I actually start? Start small. You don't have to completely change every relationship in your life overnight. Pick one area where you're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe it's your time, maybe it's your money, maybe it's family members dropping by without calling, maybe it's disrespectful conversations, maybe it's constantly being expected to solve everybody else's problems. Choose one, then decide what your boundary is and communicate it clearly. You don't need a 10-minute explanation. You don't need a courtroom defense. You don't need permission. Try, I can't do that. I need more notice. I'm not comfortable with that. I won't continue this conversation if we're yelling. I love you, but that's something you'll need to handle yourself. Clear, disrespectful, respectful. That's the hardest thing, is to stick to it, because boundaries you constantly abandon isn't really a boundary. Don't confuse boundaries with punishment. There's one more thing I want to clarify. Healthy boundaries aren't about controlling people. They're not about revenge. They're not about making somebody suffer because they hurt your feelings. They're about deciding what you will do. For example, you can't come to my house, might be controlling depending on the situation. But if you come to my house and become disrespectful, I will end the visit. That's a boundary. See the difference? One is focused on controlling another person's behavior, the other is focused on your own response. That's what makes it a boundary. Final message from Grandma Miranda: if you spent most of your life taking care of everybody else, setting boundaries may feel uncomfortable. You may even feel guilty, but feeling guilty doesn't necessarily mean you're doing something wrong. Sometimes guilt simply means you're doing something different. And if you've spent years saying yes to everyone, learning to say no may take practice. So give yourself permission: permission to rest, permission to say no, permission to change your mind, permission to protect your time, permission to walk away from disrespect, permission to love your family without solving every problem for them. And most importantly, permission to take care of yourself too. Because Grandma wants you to remember this. You can be loving without being available 24 hours a day. You can be generous without giving everything you have. You can forgive someone without giving them unlimited access to you. And you can love someone deeply while still having boundaries. That's not selfish, that's healthy. If this message spoke to you today, tell Grandma in the comments. What's one boundary you've learned to set as you've gotten older? And if you're struggling with boundaries, remember, you don't have to change everything overnight. Start with one. I'm Grandma Miranda. Take care of yourself and take care of your peace. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.